Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, freaks and geeks, trolls and derps alike, welcome to another episode of Eerie Gaming. I am your host, the GooSwan channel, and this is Eerie Gaming. I just said that. Milk Inside a Bag of Milk Inside a Bag of Milk is a game I've been eyeing for a while now. It seemed like this wonderful flavor of absurdist, metaphorical, horror-ish indie game that I just absolutely adore. Games like That Night, Steep by Blood River, and Remember Places are great examples of this vibe, so it was no surprise to me when the game appealed so much when I first saw the trailer. But when I finally got my hands on the game itself, well, let's just get into it. The game starts on a very simple note, with a question, or, well, more a request. The only option we really have is to say yes and continue into the game proper. And now that we've fully started the game up, I want to talk a little bit about the first thing that pulled me into it, the art style. I absolutely adore games with unique art directions. And when I say that, I'm not talking about the 100 millionth game trying to imitate the cel-shaded Borderlands style. I'm talking ground less trodden upon. Milk has this very lo-fi, not even 8-bit, but more 4-bit, if that makes any sense, monochrome style that gives off this inherently creepy atmosphere. Along with that, the fact that the only colors we get to experience are red and black adds to it as well. Quickly after the title screen, we get the chance to enter our name before we truly get into the game. Or, well, it's more of a visual novel, a distinction that I won't debate here, but you can debate in the comments if you so desire. I mean, I'd appreciate it if you debated it in the comments, but, you know, it's like your opinion, man. We take the role of a disembodied voice in a girl's head on our way to buy milk. It's a weird premise, I agree, but let's just stick with it for now. We're thrown headfirst into the dynamic between this girl, whatever her name might be, and us, the voice. It's not a very nice dynamic, however. We seem to be constantly pushed into discouraging the girl, telling her that she's doing wrong, and generally tearing down any positive comments she tries to make about herself. What we also realize in this scene is what the game is really about. We follow a girl with some type of immense social anxiety or depression, a girl whose medications have manifested into a voice she thinks is helping her, but is more so tearing her down whenever it can. Most of the creepy things in this game are not only primarily so, but also portray this girl's perspective on the world due to her illness. It's definitely an interesting premise and a way to look at the things that happen in the game. Eventually, we move to the next screen, where we finally arrive at the actual grocery store. As soon as we go to get our milk, however, we're met by this unsettling face. Okay, well, the actual appearance of the face isn't the easiest to parse, but there's no denying that this entire visual is kind of off-putting. This feeling is heightened by the following conversation you have with the creature. Eventually, the girl begins to explain that the letter O scares her, and as we continue to not really understand why that is, she shows us exactly how. And as soon as it enters the screen, it's gone again. When I first played the game and came across this moment, it did send chills down my spine. It's not so much a jump scare really, it's not like it's a scary face or something, but that big O, that circular void in the middle of what feels like it should be a filled up space, it feels like the darkness staring right back into your soul. Eventually, the creature disappears with a final O, and we continue to get our milk. Our main character is confused about the concept of buying products for a second, before eventually figuring it out and managing to make it to the cash register. Once we make it there, however, the girl's greeted by another one of the strange creatures. This one's face is more defined, and it's not really as eerie as the first one. The ambiguity in the first sprite lends the design a lot of the scare factor that we don't get with this design, that honestly just kind of looks like a gray alien. What we do get is this very eerily direct conversation. The alien clerk begins barking orders at the girl as she gets overwhelmed emotionally and forgets what to do. Eventually, we remind her that she needs to, well, pay, and we leave the store. girl walks down the street past the gas station, contemplating to herself and us, when a sudden surprise rears its head. A huge bear speeds past her, almost hitting her right off the street. It's barely a few seconds later, however, that the girl realizes, with our help, that this wasn't a bear at all, but actually a speeding truck. One that could have killed her. It's this strange moment of hallucination and delusion, in this belief that anyone would just kill her. You know, that she would just die suddenly, without reason. This sort of innocence derived from her continued isolation from the world. Slowly, we move to a stop sign. At this point, I encountered a strange fork in the road. The girl slips into one of her delusions again, and we get the choice between letting her do this and trying to push her into accepting that these are only thoughts. On my first playthrough, I made that second choice. And just see for yourself what happened. After this point of apparent failure, we return back to the start of the game. Quickly, I sped back to our previous point of divergence and picked the other option, choosing to let the girl remain in her own fantasy. Upon doing this, the girl begins talking directly to us, as in us the player, not the voice anymore. Or, well, how she actually calls us, the reader, because visual novels aren't games. But I digress. In this process, she thinks away the physical barrier around the text box and begins speaking. And now, outside of the bounds of the video game, she begins speaking more honestly. She knows that she's not well mentally nor socially. She knows her medications are becoming less and less effective. And she knows that talking to us isn't exactly a healthy coping method. She asks us to see her as a person regardless of her diagnoses, and it's a heartwarming moment. Watching this obviously isolated, sheltered girl open up to somebody, even if they aren't really real, is very important. We also get an explanation for the red color scheme of the game, and despite the grisly nature of that actual explanation, it still doesn't detract from the utter goodness that I feel this scene radiates. After this genuinely heartwarming moment, we move on and finally arrive at the girl's house. And upon arriving, the calm air from before is immediately dashed away by the introduction of her mother. The seeming progress she's made is quickly halted in its path by this looming presence, this personality that she cannot even begin to comprehend. The mother talks in slow, blunt, direct sentences, not showing a hint of real feeling or emotion behind them. The first frame of the mother's face sent chills down my spine. The face itself mirrors the emotions the tone of the voice brings with it. Cold, emotionless, uncaring. The girl feels as if her mother doesn't truly care about her and sees her as an emotionless mask, only spotting out questions that seem caring on the surface. It's a surprisingly eerie moment, and once again, as soon as it happens, it's gone. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of Milk Inside a Bag of Milk Inside a Bag of Milk. This game is an incredible display of trauma, anxiety, and mental illness. It uses its themes in a metaphorical sense, and uses the existential horror that things like crippling anxiety can bring in a more literal one, representing social interaction itself as this inescapable, indescribable void. It's incredibly effective, and thus more than deserves a place in Eerie Gaming history. Now, I know that this game is only the first in a two-part series, so if you want me to cover the sequel, don't be afraid to say so in the comments. But for now, this is where I leave you. This has been the GooSwan channel, signing out. See you all later. Peace!
Fly like a phoenix, you're right, you gon' fly if you need it. My heart doesn't care